guess there was quite a bit of talk about the school board trustee that remained anonymous while offering some comment. I wonder, you focus specifically on the anonymity of the person that spoke in the article. Why was that something that you focused on in your comments made today?
Well, certainly, I mean, I've worked to make myself very available to the school boards around the province. I'd say most board chairs around the province, if not all of them, have my direct cell number, and I work to make myself available to all those folks to make sure that they can speak to me directly about concerns that they have in their respective school divisions or school communities. So, there's almost 250 school board trustees around the province, right, in all these school divisions. There's, like in the legislature here, there's always going to be disagreement between folks, elected folks, and, but again, what we have here today, or what we have, announced last Friday is a signed agreement between government and Saskatchewan School Boards Association, and endorsed by all 27 school boards, to ensure a baseline level of classroom supports funding over the next 4 years.
So you don't think there's a chill?
Pardon me?
You don't think there's a chill among school trustees, officials, that they're concerned about speaking publicly? I just was looking for your take on why he wouldn't, or that person wouldn't, he, she, whoever it is.
Yeah, because they're anonymous, I don't know who they are, so I haven't had I don't know.
Do you think that there might be reason for them to have a chilling effect in terms of this? They're in a situation where they're school board trustees, it's not like an elected MLA or even a city councillor for that matter. Do you think that they might feel under the circumstances that they can't speak publicly?
That's not what I've heard or felt from school trustees around the province. With respect to the timeline, how long were school boards or trustees and chairs able to mull over the funding agreement before they issued a vote to the SSB?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, and I mentioned this in the House today, discussions that have led to this multi-year funding agreement have been going on for weeks and months, really, right? I mean, again, I've been public about the fact that I've toured around. I've visited these school divisions in their home communities, right? We talk about these issues when I visit, school divisions from Chinook to Good Spirit to Isle Lacrosse to Creighton, issues around, resourcing and again, providing that predictability for supports funding is really important, I'd say, for every school division in the province. And again, that's what this agreement has done. I know that we originally sent over the agreement to the SSBA, the Friday before the agreement was announced, and so again, I spoke several times with board chairs and directors of education in every school division. Lots of opportunity to answer questions directly from those folks. So again, certainly made myself available throughout the process here. But again, the discussions that have led to this multi-year funding agreement. These are discussions that have been ongoing for months and weeks about these sort of issues that the agreement contemplates and starts to address.
But the specific deal, I of course heard from the person that was to remain anonymous. I also heard from the board chair of Regina Public. Board chair of Regina Public did put their name to it and said that the deal went faster than they were used to. How long did boards have with the proposed deal that was announced on Friday?
Yeah, and I would say my thought would be several days on that. I don't know when SSBA distributed it to all the boards, so I can't speak directly to that. What I can speak to, though, is that, again, as minister, I made myself available to board chairs and directors on multiple occasions, again, to answer questions, to have discussion about why I was coming forward with a multi-year funding agreement, and again, to answer questions and hear their concerns from school boards.
Why would there be any time limit? This is something that hasn't even come out of budget form yet. Budgets aren't passed. This will be a month-long process to get the money in order. Why would there be any time limit in terms of? I don't understand that aspect.
Yeah, I would say the main priority here was again getting to a place where we had endorsement and agreement from 27 school boards. That was the priority in terms of, again, ensuring that we had divisions on board. And again, I think this is what the real fact of the matter here is that this multi-year funding agreement is something that boards have been speaking, and desiring.
I guess I'm trying to understand the purpose of it, and by tactical I just mean something to advance the negotiation process, because tactical might not be the right word, but in essence, since you're not negotiating at the bargaining table, where you basically using this as a method to move things forward with the school board endorsement, I guess.
Well, certainly in the context of bargaining, we'd like to see the STF leadership back at the bargaining table. There's no secret that, you know, we've made those invitations and continue to make those invitations for the STF leadership to return to the bargaining table. You know, again, I'll just remind you, I mean, the agreement that we have, a significant agreement that we've signed here with school boards. School boards and school divisions are the employer, right? They are the operator of the schools across our province. So again, I think that's a significant point to emphasize, is that at the end of the day, it's the school divisions that are going to operationalize these dollars and hire teachers and hire professionals and ensure that supports are available to students in our classroom. So, you know, again, this agreement, I think it marks, you know, an important step forward in terms of providing that predictability, that long-term predictability to school divisions. I think it answers the question, you know, that parents and students and teachers all across the province have in terms of government's commitment to education, ensuring that this is a government that's going to continue to make significant investment in education. And so, you know, I think that's what the agreement really shows, is that we're going to continue working with those 27 boards.
Teachers want to be out on strike?
Well, certainly, I mean, I've heard a mixture of both from teachers across the province directly.
Why do you think they want to be out on strike?
I guess you
And I ask this because you use the term as an excuse to stay out on strike. And I found that language to be puzzling to me, because I don't think I've talked to one teacher that says they want to be out on strike. They want to be all the opposite disagree.
Yeah.
With you quite
Well, I think that's a conversation that STF members should have with their STF leadership.
But
I'm
asking you. I'm not asking the STF. I think, do you actually think they want to be out on strike because they are the impression that you want them out? And so I guess maybe that's sort of one area to clarify it. Do you think that do you think they actually want to be out there on strike? Because that's what you said in the House, sir. That's kind of implied easily.
Well, I think the union leadership certainly wants to be on strike. I mean, I know there's several teachers around the province I've spoken directly with that coach basketball, that coach curling, that you know, want to be certainly in the classroom during the day, and then in the gym or on the ice in the evenings and on the weekends, because they know how much those extracurricular activities mean to students. I mean, I think that's a conversation that STF members should be having with the leadership of their organization. You know, I go back to, you know, again, what the STF have asked for and what we've offered in terms of issues that they've raised in the bargaining process, whether that's, you know, a salary offer that, you know, it may not be 23.4%, but it does account for cost of living adjustments, you know, management of their own dental plan, provisions around workplace safety. You know, again, these are things that the STF asked for, the government's offered. You know, we have made, I would say, significant movement to try and get to a place where we can get an agreement done with the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation. And again, that's where, you know, I hope that STF members are having that conversation with their local leadership and the union leadership provincially, because again, I think as a government, we've shown that we are working to make a deal. We are working to invest more in education, to have a real impact, you know, to address the issues that teachers rightly have said there are issues that exist in the classroom, and we've tried to make investments that will target those challenges and provide school divisions with the funding to support students and teachers going forward.
How significant do you think this agreement is if it can be cancelled with the agreement of 3 people, 2 of which are cabinet ministers, that can decide in the future that for whatever reason down the road we might have to do this because of economic circumstances or otherwise?
Well, I mean, we had a similar type of multi-year funding agreement with the post-secondary institutions and followed through on that. You can plan on this government following through on this agreement.
You actually can't, because this is the problem, or this is the sore point we've talked about in this space before, for 2017 and 18. It seems to be what's holding this up. They want in the contract, they say, because of their previous experience. Ms. Beacock said that very thing in this very spot. So I guess I'm wondering why that would give them much solace, and given the fact that
well, let's use the multi-year funding agreement with the post-secondary. Sorry to cut you off, but
I do to you occasionally.
fair. Thanks, Murray. let's again use the example of the multi-year funding agreement with the post-secondary institutions. That agreement was made directly with the post-secondary institutions, not with the faculty associations or other unions that represent the employees of those institutions. Again, government, has made good on that commitment, followed through with our obligations there, and I know, Minister Wyant continues to work closely with all those institutions, again, and obviously there's an election this fall, and certainly if we have the honor of forming government once again in this province, this is a multi-year funding agreement that the government has committed to those school divisions to follow through on and make good on. And again, I hope we have the honor of forming government.
This is a sticking point, and this goes back before your time. Obviously, you don't have a damn thing to do with whatever happened in 2017 or 18. You weren't around, but it's a problem right now. Like, I mean, how are you going to get past that? How does government get past that when they basically say that because of this, and the way it's happened before, you can come off in time for a second, but because it happened before, it might happen again. What assurances are you going to give?
Well, I think the assurances are in the agreement, and again, part of the reason why I go out to school divisions, like why would you drive to Creighton, right? Why would you drive to Isle Lacrosse? Why would you drive all over the province to meet with school divisions? I mean, it's easier to meet on Teams, but I like to look people in the eye and start to build that relationship of trust with them. I've worked really hard at that over the last several months to build that trust with school divisions and elected school board members around the province. I'm going to continue doing that, continue to, working to build those relationships, to have the trust between government and school boards around the province. That's something I take very seriously. And, again, the commitment that we've made here is not insignificant. It is a significant agreement, a significant commitment to education around the province in all 27 divisions. And that's certainly, again, as I said earlier, if we have the honor of forming government again, this is an agreement that government's going to follow through on.
I think just with respect to that funding, I think that it works out to about $45.6 million of additional funding
From budget day to budget day,
yeah. For a 4-year period. I'm curious about how that's divided amongst the school divisions, because back of the napkin math shows that's about $1.68 million for 27 school divisions, and I'm curious, talking about the significance of that, what impact do you see that directly having? Each school division, schools and classrooms represented within, having about $1.6 million if it's divided evenly amongst 27 divisions.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, that increase won't be divided perfectly evenly across 27 divisions, right? I mean, I think we all know that the number of students in Regina Public or Regina Catholic is a little bit different than the number of students, say, at Holy Family Catholic, or even in my community, Light of Christ Catholic or Living Sky School Division. So, again, most of, the appendix in the agreement breaks it down, but the Supports for Learning formula is a formula that we have between the ministry and the 27 school divisions on how those dollars are split out. Again, the subsequent portions of that table show other envelopes of funding that are more kind of targeted in the sense that this much for this division, and then we have our pilot projects, obviously, the specialized support classroom pilot that's focused in 8 divisions right now, and then the Teacher Innovation Support Fund, which actually we've approved projects in almost every school division all around the province. And so, again, there's a mixture of how those funds are distributed, but I think, again, this comes back to when you actually go out and meet with school divisions, you can actually have some pretty fruitful discussions on how funding is delivered now and maybe options on how to do that going forward. And those are discussions that I've had at nearly every board table and committed to continue having. And I guess especially when it comes to the Supports for Learning formula, I know that I think we've got some continued discussion there between the ministry and the 27 divisions and the SSBA on how we look at that specific formula going forward.
Just a couple quick ones just in relation to the issue in your constituency office. I think you weren't there, by the way.
I was there.
Oh, you were actually in the office at the time?
Well, I was there because an individual had set up a meeting with me.
Okay.
So I was there.
Good, then I'll ask directly to you because I thought you were having to get this through the staff. Can you tell me what criminal activity occurred, or what criminal activity you thought was occurring?
Oh, I never said criminal activity was occurring.
RCMP, and I don't think you'd call the RCMP over something unless it was a criminal activity.
Yeah. So I spoke extensively yesterday in yesterday's scrum, to the incident on Friday at my office. I think I tried to answer the question very reasonably in the House today. At the end of the day, and I was very clear about this yesterday, Murray, and I'll be very clear about it again today. I had a conversation with the folks that came into my office. We spoke for probably 15, 20 minutes about the concerns that they had
When
raised.
someone's threatened, like you called the police, so I assume that there's some
So
criminal
when-
reason to call the police.
So, when it,
Like I can't
when-
just
when-
call the police right now because you're not answering my question. Like I wish you could, but like if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be something serious in terms of what was. Can you please tell us what it is?
yeah, I would say threatening and intimidating behavior towards my staff. And I just don't find that acceptable. I'm sorry. I don't. And for me, that crossed the line.
Can you
And so
offer detail?
I've offered specifics yesterday, and in other media availabilities. Again, it's a frustrating situation because again, I have made myself readily available to people in my community.
Because threats usually involve physical threats, like persons basically suggesting, or threats of harm, I guess. Was there threats of harm? Was there some physical contact?
Well, Murray, for your benefit, I'll repeat what I said yesterday. Folks coming into my office, calm, but starting to take pictures of my staff asking them not to take pictures of them, which I think is a fair, reasonable request.
Yeah, that's not
and then these individuals saying, well, what are you going to do about it? And so, for me, again,
Obnoxious, but again, not legal.
at the end of the day, I think it is a reasonable standard to have that folks that work in this building and folks that work in constituencies across the province are treated with respect.
Well,
And Murray, I was there, and you were not, and so I felt it crossed the line. I felt that there was disrespect and intimidating behavior towards my staff, and that's why I called the RCMP. And would I do it again in the same situation? I would. I just
understand what it was specifically, though, because I get
Yeah.
what you're saying. I truly do. Like, I mean, I get that it can be a crap job and people get in your face and it's annoying sometimes. But I'm struggling to understand what part of it crossed the line into criminality that would cause you to call the RCMP.
Yeah, I felt that it crossed the line in terms of intimidating my staff, and that's something that I don't think is reasonable to tolerate. And again, I've got all
Until they were threatened.
I've got all the time in the world for folks that want to, even if I disagree with them, I've got all the time in the world to have respectful dialogue with constituents in my office. And you know what? I would say that some of the folks that have come and met with me over the last several years would say that without a doubt. And that's the kind of posture that I've tried to have as an MLA and an office.
Charges laid, so like we need
No.
to get some clarification as to.
Yeah, and again, I felt there was threatening and intimidating behavior expressed towards my staff. I outlined that yesterday, and again, my focus, the longer we're talking about this, the longer that I think people question our MLAs available to them, and absolutely they're available to them. They're available for respectful dialogue in all 61 constituencies across the province, and so certainly true in my constituency, and I look forward to continuing to have respectful dialogue with folks of all different opinions in my office. I welcome that. So.
The opposition education critic brought up threats or legal action. Are you familiar with what they were referring to?
No idea.
There wasn't anything part of the dialogue yet with any of the school trustees?
No.
I'm not talking about just threats, I'm just saying like, and he said, look, we need to move forward because, anything like that it could be interpreted that way?
No, I mean, I think there's a general understanding that, with these issues being talked about in the public arena, that, that there's a desire to move forward on some of these issues. And clearly, with budget day coming up, and these dollars being announced, I thought there was an opportunity to, again, have something formal that outlined collaboration with school divisions. But in terms of threats or legal action, I have no idea what Mr. Love would be referring to.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.